Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to part two. We decided to go for collective pisses in our own house.
Yeah. Piss in a drink, but in that order, but not piss into glasses and then drink it. Unless
When in Yorkshire.
you do have kind of a yellowy sort of drink there. Frothy.
It's very frothy, yeah.
Yeah. Might
But
want
yeah,
to see a
part
doctor
two.
about
It's what happens when you live in Skipton.
that.
When you move
Something in the
away.
water.
It's my go, isn't it?
It's your go.
Number E. So I think I'm on number 6. I think. Yeah. Okay. Um, what remains of Edith Finch?
Oh, you know what? I have a folder on my PlayStation 4, and it's like basically games to play. And I've been working my way through it, and it's on there because you told me to play it. And I was like, I'll listen to Dave. You said it was really good, but I haven't made it yet.
Yeah. What remains of Edith Finch was one of those like weird fever dream games, and there's one part of it where it just all clicked together for me, and I was like, oh, I love this. Because one of my other games is an honorable mention, but we'll get to it and you'll know why. But there's one bit in Edith Finch that connects with that, and I like the whole idea that like there's this house full of ghosts in a way, and you've got to figure out why it's all like this, because I don't want to go fully into it, but you have to figure out what happened to them all, and the whole idea of the game is about Edith Finch. And I don't want to say anymore. It's just a really.
I mean, how does the gameplay break down? What do you like physically do?
That's the thing. There's so many different things you have to do. So like, there's one bit where you end up as a child, and you're playing in the bath.
Okay.
And you have to try and stop falling down the plug hole. And
Oh my god.
it's just really weird shit. Like I say, the more you describe it, the more magic it loses.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, Rabbit's played it, and Rabbit loved it. So if Rabbit liked it, it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
There's all this weird stuff about, like, members of the Finch family and what happened to them. This house is just empty. And you have to find out every member of the Finch family and where they went. And it's cool. It's really cool. Because there's just...
Sorry, carry on.
No, sorry, go on, man. Go on.
I was going like the sort of logo for it is like this odd-looking house that almost looks like a sort of Goonies-esque treehouse thing. Is the layout of the house really weird? Or?
Yeah, I mean, not to go into it too much, but yeah, it's all like weirdly built around like all the people's personalities, and they're all attached to it.
Yeah.
And every person, like, one of the bits is like a woman who was in a horror film and her career never took off. So like, her room is like just a shrine to this one film she was in. And then you go through her life and it's like this old comic book, and it's like beautifully rendered, and you go into the story and how she was in the film and all this other stuff. And it's like, it's just really odd. It's really cool. But every place is its own separate entity. And then you get to this one bit where I was like, I love this now. And it's connected with another game, and I loved it for it. And it's an honorable mention because it was one of the first few games I played on PS4. But we'll get to that one later. So yeah, you might like that one as well when I mention it. But yeah.
No, I'm definitely intending to play it.
Yeah.
Again, if I was in my time chamber, I would have played it.
Yeah.
I have got a list of like acclaimed shit I should have played. And like half of it I already own, I just haven't like got around to it.
Yeah. What Remains of Edith Finch is one of them where it's like, if I even remotely start to describe this, I've ruined it. So yeah, it's a really interesting game. But yeah, I played it a long time ago. I can't remember how long ago it was, but it still sticks with me, the whole idea of it, that you're going around this old house and you've got to like figure out what happened to them all. It's similar to Obra Dinn, but not with so much mystery. It's just a nice story. It's just a nice story. It's nice, Stefan. It's nice.
How much Is it more like interactive than say like Gone Home or?
Oh, it's way better. I can't get on with Gone Home at all. I think Gone Home is a over bloated for me. I think it's just letters, letters from person to person. Whereas I think Edith Finch is more of a weird, like, I'm trying to remember. There's one point where, like, I think there's a little girl who wants to fly, and she can fly, and then she gets. I'm trying to remember what it was, and it's just like this weird thing where she keeps doing it over and over and over again, and then I think she turns into a bird. It's something like that. She keeps doing it.
Okay.
But yeah, all of them start like having weird like things happen to them, but they're all weird deaths.
Yeah.
And you have to play as the people, and it's good. It's very good. I don't want to say any more, but yeah, What Remains of Edith Finch, and I think that one I've mentioned about the bird. I think she turns into a bird. I think, and then she never comes back because she's just a bird from then on. It's really weird shit. It's really good though. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Anyway, what's your next one? I don't want to say any more about that one.
Yeah, my list feels like mega conventional, actually. Yeah, I don't care. Now, my next one is Bloodborne.
That's on mine.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was going to make it for you.
Yeah.
The thing I love about Bloodborne is it's almost like they made an entire game around the way I played Dark Souls.
Mm.
It's like a sort of like a slice of that sort of more like dexterity-based sort of character. It's all about like moving fast and hitting fast and like hitting as many times as possible, like fast, bam, 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 and getting out of there. And yeah, I think it's like a I think that like is between that and Dark Souls 3 for my list. And I just think there's so much more to Bloodborne. It was like it's like Dark Souls 3 was kind of missing something. Bloodborne kind of had that.
That just went for that weird mechanic, yeah. Because I mean, like the thing I love about Bloodborne is like if they hit you, hit them back.
Yeah.
I love that whole idea, and
it's almost like an instinctive thing it's for me. I don't know about everyone else, but like when you get hit, you just kind of almost like panic and want to hit back, and it kind of like it just the way they sort of like dodge and everything. Your instincts and your reactions and the way the game plays, it all meshes together very well. Like it ends up becoming like a game you almost play on an instinctual level because the game does what you would do instinctively. You get into sort of like flow and this like almost like zen like state where you're just like playing the game.
Having a gun in one hand and a blade in the other.
Yeah. And the way like with the staggering, which is a really nice take on the parrying. And
fisting a pig.
Oh god, yeah, up the arse, just blood everywhere.
That is grim as fuck.
It's just like I think like the look of it, the atmosphere, the level design,
the whole Cthulhu vibe. The whole vibe. What's the name of the priest? Which I think is like one of the best boss battles in that. Priest Gallagher.
There's Father Gregory.
Gregor or something. Which
he's like the sort of "Do you understand this game?" boss.
Yeah, and I think
it's really early on, and if you don't like, it kind of forces you to learn the mechanics because if you don't like stagger him, and if you can have like a really hard time. It's kind of a bit of a knowledge skill check. Just like, do you understand what we're trying to do with this game?
Yeah, and I always remember that one sticking in my mind, like going, "Oh, I get this now." Yeah, jump around like a fanny.
Yeah, the bit when he transforms, he's just like, "Well, fuck."
Yeah, because I remember that like switchblade thing. If you press the button, it got longer and then went back.
Oh, the weapons are so fun having them switch into 2 modes, and I think, as I said earlier, I think these games kind of live or die on the boss battles, and I think the boss battles are like maybe the best in Bloodborne.
Mm.
Like the Lady Maria fight in the expansion, the old hunters. It's
Oh yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah. She's rock hard as well.
She's hard, but it's just like, yeah, it's just so tense and so on the edge, and but it never feels undoable. It's always like, yeah, I made a mistake. I fucked up there.
Yeah, I
It
agree with
doesn't feel
that.
cheap. It just feels like you just have to play at your best to beat her.
Yeah, because
Um,
don't you end up like fighting a weird like white baby man at the end of the DLC? Why have I got that
uh,
weird?
the last boss is the Orphan of Kos, and he comes out of the sea and he's like
Yeah,
hard, and like it took me literally hours to beat him.
yeah, yeah. He's fucking. I had to get people to help me with that. I just could not do it. Yeah.
I think again I was in my stubborn I'm doing this on my own thing, but it took me hours. It was so hard. He hit so hard.
But he looks like a man child. He just like
Yeah.
he does
Well, he's a
not look
child.
strong.
He's like an orphan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of that weird like birth, like
Oh yeah, it goes into a lot of weird like birth of the mother stuff, doesn't
because
it?
you
Yeah.
like collect umbilical cords, and like one of the
That's
end
it.
you getting
That's it.
reborn and
Mm.
as a tentacle monster. I think that's the good ending as well. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And there's the weird doll woman you have to speak to,
Hmm.
which is just bizarre. That is bizarre. But yeah,
Yeah,
Bloodborne was on mine as well. Yeah, because I remember just suddenly clicking with it and going, "Yeah, I get this now." Yeah.
I think the only thing with it is the it's like a negative is a chalice dungeons feel a little underbaked.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those. I never did them. Did you do any of them?
Yeah, I didn't get right to the end. There's a few bosses that are like exclusive to
Hmm.
the chalice dungeons, but you have to play it quite a lot, and it kind of taught me that a key part of like Bloodborne and Dark Souls is the level design,
Yeah.
and it's randomly generated like from tile sets. So the
Hmm.
monsters and the areas are all like randomly put together. I was just kind of making your case for why your level design is awesome, really, because it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
without that the game loses a lot. It loses
Hmm.
a lot of its sort of like appeal. So I kind of felt that was a little underbaked. But again, it's entirely optional. It doesn't take away from the rest of the game. It doesn't.
Hmm.
It's not stupid enough to force you to do it. It doesn't go like, oh, to get the item to open the gate, to get the key, you have to play the chalice dungeons. It doesn't do
Hmm.
anything like that.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
entirely up to you.
Yeah, I remember playing the DLC and I remember playing the main game. But yeah, those chalice things, I was just like, nah, we're done. I don't want to go through any of that. We're done.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Bloodborne was on mine. Mine that was actually going to be the next one I mentioned. Actually,
Oh well, good timing.
that was
I'm
the next
actually
one.
like, it's weird. I expected us to have a way more crossover than.
I've gone into weird territory. Things that literally do stick in my mind are the ones
No,
that.
it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot of indie titles in mine. A lot of indie ones.
that's it's good. It's in some ways your list is way better than mine because it's having a list where you're racking off like familiar, well-known, already acclaimed games is a bit like, oh yeah, of course. Whereas you're like, let me tell you about this FMV game.
Yeah, telling lies is awesome. Um, well, technically, you and I have had the same. So, shall I go for one? I'll go for one that's not on the list, but it might be for both of
Oh yeah,
us.
replace it with something then.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Let's replace it. So, well, this was on my honourable mention, so I guess I'll just chuck this in, and it links in with what remains of Edith Finch. Unfinished Swan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that's
that's going back a few years. That was like
yeah.
a early gen game.
It was one of the first few games I got on PS Plus. I remember it. But there's a part of Unfinished Swan that connects to Remains of Edith Finch, and they both connect.
Oh, okay. Is it the same devs or is it
It's the
just
same devs, same devs.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. So suddenly, when I was in Remains of Edith Finch, and then I was like, hang on a minute. And then I was like, oh, and it all just went together. I was like, this is amazing. And it was all a shared universe. And I loved it. But yeah, Unfinished Swan is just one of these really cool ideas where you have to paint your way through the world to get to where you need to go. Have you ever
Yeah,
played?
so someone brought it up to me the other day. This is kind of weird. Like out of the blue, someone was talking to me about it. I was like, oh yeah. But yeah, Will's entirely white.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to say pitch white. That's not a thing.
Pitch white.
But yeah, you just keep throwing like these black blobs of paint, and
yeah, you kind of paint the world to show the geometry to tell you where to go.
And then there's loads of weird other mechanics in there. There's a bit with like popping balloons and stuff, I think I seem to recall. The only bit I seem to remember, which just connects in my brain really well, and it's a spoiler, skip, but Terry Gilliam's in it.
Oh yeah, he's the dad, isn't he?
He's like the king. Yeah, he's the king.
Yeah.
And it comes from nowhere. It literally comes from nowhere when it happens, but it's a really nice way to end it. It's really good. But yeah, Unfinished Swan got elevated because of Edith Finch. That's the weird part of it, where suddenly I was like, oh, and the two starting to mesh together. Yeah.
It wasn't what I considered, to be honest. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's kind of like, oh, that's neat. It kind of fell into that category for me. It's like, oh, that's neat. There's some nice ideas there, but
yeah, it was the same for me. I remember spending quite a long time in it and enjoying it. But then when I went into Edith Finch, and then that one particular moment happened, I suddenly found myself going, wow, I love Unfinished Swan now. That makes more sense. That whole thing. Yeah, and they do this really, because there's this music in Unfinished Swan that plays all the way through it. And that music comes in on Edith Finch, and I was just like,
oh wow,
what? Like, it was one of them.
That'd be interesting. Cause I don't even know if I'd remember it, but we'll have to see.
But yeah, as soon as I heard it, I just went, wait. And that music first came on, and then I was like, wait, that's Unfinished Swan. And then you keep going, and it's like, and it just all comes together. And I fucking loved it. Yeah, it was one of them really weird, like, I like that. And I hope whatever they make for the next one connects those two back up again. Yeah. It's just this weird narrative thread between them all that anything weird in Unfinished Swan, because it's weird and it does whatever it wants, can happen in Edith Finch. And you just, for some reason, when you know they're part of the same thing, you accept it. So like, because of Unfinished Swan, you're just throwing paint. Edith Finch, suddenly you go, right, I accept all of it. All of it I accept. I'm fine. This is great. I love it. Because even at one point I'm like, yeah, this is getting silly. And then that came up and I went, right, okay, I'm cool with this. That's fine.
Nice. I remember Joy of Sticks was huge on that game. You loved it.
Yeah, Unfinished Swan is yeah, it's a cracking game. Yeah, definitely worth playing all the way through, then going into Edith Finch. Okay. But I don't know for me, because there was a long time between both games. So
yeah, like 6 years.
Yeah, but I just remember hearing that music, and then suddenly going, I'm back there. It was a really weird experience, and I've never had that before, because it literally just like tugged at me with the song, and I'm like, I know this. Why do I know this? And then it just all, yeah. But yeah, that's my next one.
Cool.
What's yours?
The next one is Monster Hunter World.
Interesting. I've never played it. Actually, the only time I played it is when we went to
the EGX or Play.
It was EGX. Yeah, we played it there.
Monster Hunter World is kind of almost like plant the flag in the ground for gaming. It's really complicated, and it's very successful. And I think I think it's getting a bit better now, but I think for like a certain amount of time, there's this idea that games have to be really like simplified to have mass appeal, or it has to use like familiar mechanics or whatever. Like you can't have a popular game, like a big successful game, if it's if it's challenging or if it's hard to get into. And Monster Hunter World is like, I think it's sold a crazy amount for Capcom, but it's almost impenetrable when you start. There's so much going on. There's so many items and things to like collect in the environment, and you're just like, oh, what do I do? Like this, everything's just like
Yeah, I remember seeing some of the UI for it, and I'm like, oh, this is
the UI is very like Dark Souls-esque in that
Yeah.
sort of like, here's a bunch of shit which we're not going to explain. Like, figure it out yourself. You're like,
Yeah, I remember seeing it when you played it there at EGX, and I just went, no,
because
no,
did like a beta, and I played the beta, and I was just like completely confused the whole time I was playing it. But it was one of those where, even though I was completely confused the whole time, I wanted that game. And the combat is very, very particular as well. Your movement and the timing of your attacks and how you attack and how you interact with the environment and with the monsters. They all have tells, like they make noises or like movement for like their attacks, and you have to learn them or you're just going to get battered.
Yeah.
You can't just go in swinging. You have to be really careful. You have to know when to attack. You have to know like combos, strategies, like items you can use to help, all sorts of stuff going on. There's so much to learn in that game, but if you can get into it, persevere with it, it's the most rewarding game I think I've ever played.
Right, okay.
From like a mechanical level, the feeling of like taking down a huge monster, is just, it feels amazing because it doesn't give it to you.
No,
you have to earn it. You have to earn that victory. It just feels so good, and I've just played it for like hundreds of hours because there's just so much to it. There's like 13 weapons, and they all play completely different. They all have their own little unique mechanics and combos, and you can change your weapon and you almost play an entirely different game because of how the combat system works. There's just so much to it, and you just kind of pick it up as you go along, and it's hard to put into words.
Yeah, no, I seem to remember seeing you play it, and then I was just like, that's just far too thick and gooey for me to do. And I know that'd be more your thing. I do, because Monster Hunter was a PSP game, wasn't it? Was it PSP?
Yeah, so it started life off on the PS2.
That's it.
But it kind of really took off on the PSP. That was when it sort of became like a mega series. But it's kind of like huge in Japan, and in the West, it never quite like. It was like a cult hit. And there were people that were swear blind at it, like this is amazing, and like had a lot of people like going out to bat for it, but it never really like. Monster Hunter World was the first one where they've really sort of like crossed over, and I think it's because they put it back on the main consoles. To be honest, I think that helped a lot. Like portables are a lot bigger in Japan, and home consoles are a lot bigger over here. I think putting it on like the PS4 with its big install base, and I mean for me, like, the reason I tried it is like it was like years of people going on about it and how good it is, and then World was like my first big opportunity to give the series a shot. So that's how I got into it.
Because they released DLC for it as well, didn't they? Like
Iceborne.
That's it. Yeah.
Which is apparently really meaty. I played like a demo of it. I've not got that yet.
I'm sure that's on Game Pass. That is definitely.
It might be. As well as games, I'm tempted to pick up on PC and go for it again. So one of the negatives with it is it's like a hardware one. I think is the loading times are quite long. for like going into the missions. And when you go back to base, there can be quite a lot of downtime where there's so many things to like manage and look at that. Yeah, sometimes it does feel like you're spending a lot of time doing nothing because you've got to do all the admin, and then you got to pick your mission, and you have to wait for it to load, and then you have to hunt the monster down.
Yeah.
So you have to look through the environment to find. So it can feel a bit like there's a lot of doing nothing in that game. So it's really the only negative I can think of.
Yeah, I think I should give that one a try as well. I think it's something I should give it a little bit of time. Really,
it's just a game that forces you to like play it properly and learn how it works. But the rewards for doing so is just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely will try that. Yeah, it just seems a bit scary. It's a scary game to look at.
It is scary. It is scary. It is. It really is, because there's there's so much to it. I think you can kind of muddle your way through it a little bit. Once you kind of realize that you can muddle your way through it a bit, then you actually, I thought I did an okay job at like easing you in.
Yeah.
You can learn as you go along, because that's the beauty of it. Like, yeah.
Anyway, shall I tell you my next one?
Yeah, go for it.
This might be on yours. Control.
It's not, but I considered it.
Yeah, Control. Yeah, Control is on mine. I think it has one of the worst intros to a game because it just doesn't make any sense. Like the way she's talking, the way she's acting, it's just it's so bad. I lent it to somebody and he gave it me back the next day and said, I do not like that. I can't get on with that. and I totally got it. I got why. But there's just a certain point where it all sort of clicks together with Alan Wake and all the other universes like Quantum Break and stuff. And
it's kind of a slow burn.
Yeah.
It takes a while to reveal itself. The stuff that's interesting about it, is not immediately obvious.
The DLC is crap, though. It's actually crap. Absolute crap. Yeah. Lets it down.
That's a shame. But yeah, you can if you only play a little bit of it, you might just think it's just like a typical third-person shooter in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, as it sort of gets weirder and opens up and the gameplay starts evolving, it's
the whole objects of power thing and how the people, if people start to believe it, they'll start to like come alive and stuff. And I like the fact that one of the powers is just a floppy disk, like one of those big huge floppy disks. It's got the nuclear codes on it, may have the nuclear codes on it, and it's just got a life of its own because of it. But I really enjoyed Control. It was one of them games where I was like, this has come from, it actually came out of nowhere, to be fair. It was like a bit of a weird summer game. I remember it being just randomly coming out.
I kind of remember it being almost, a bit low-key. It was a bit, when they announced it, like the thought that went, the thought that went through my head is this something that Remedy have kind of had to like knock out because
to pay the bills, and I thought the same.
Because I was like, Quantum Break, they took forever to make that game and it bombed, and then Control shows up and it kind of looks a bit like Quantum Break, but with a woman, and you're just kind of like, did you just have to like repurpose as much as you could to try and make something to make money? And
it wasn't well marketed at first.
Yeah.
Then when you played it, it's like, no, this is something else. It's totally different. What is this? I like the gun. The gun's the most interesting bit, how it changes in shape.
Yeah.
And it just goes triangular and just morphs around like what she wants to do, and she can just do that with her hand and it changes. And her special powers, which don't make much sense really why she has them, but whatever, it's cool. She talks to a light, Polaris or something, and then she gets her powers.
Yeah.
Whatever.
think they kind of explain it. So,
It's,
to be honest, like, yeah, it just been like a bit oddball and having like a almost X-Filesy sort of thing going on.
absolutely, and it leaves it up to you to find out the rest of it if you wish to find it. And
Yeah,
probably,
definitely.
that's where all the explanation comes from. But I was just like, this is fine. Let's just go and have fun.
When I played it, yeah, I was just about to say the word that comes to mind with Control is fun. It's just an absurdly fun game to play. Like,
I see Stefan has a cat there.
I've got a cat. I'll say hello. Hello.
Hello, Ninja. No, you're right though. It's just balls out weird fun, and sometimes that's all you need. You know, I just remember it coming out and being like, "Well, this has come from nowhere," and I enjoyed it. You know. Yeah. What's your next one anyway?
My next one is Civilization 6.
That nearly went on my list.
Yeah, it was one of those like debated a bit because it's Civilization, and it's crack.
It's crack. Absolute crack.
It's absolute crack. But like Civilization has always been crack. So
because we played Civ Rev, didn't we, for months and months and months, and I love Civ Rev. Yeah.
So it's kind of like Civ has been around for a very long time, and it's always been like incredibly addictive. So like,
is she playing with your microphone?
She's just sat on my lap, but she does kind of go for the wire.
Yeah, because she can hear you going bunk 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 on your shirt.
Oh, it's because I'll stop doing that. I was stroking her. So.
I thought she was doing it. Sorry, man. Well, carry on.
Yeah, so there's almost like a timeless aspect to it. So it's like almost doesn't. Yeah, it's not like this generation game. Yeah. It's like every generation game.
Gandhi is always a bastard.
Yeah. I love how that was a bug and now it's just become like a new like a quirk to it.
Yeah, Gandhi's awful. He's a nasty man. Nasty man.
Yeah, I really like what they did with 6 with the districts. So in the previous civs, you made your cities and it was just this one square was your city, and then you could build things in the cities and improve them, but it was always like everything was contained in that square.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's like you make your districts to improve like your science, your research, or faith, or whatever. And where you lay them down, as it gets different bonuses based on where you put it down. Mm-hmm. So I really like that idea because it just gives you something more to think about when it comes to like where you want to place your cities.
Yeah, because you can put the wonders in whatever district you've put them in as well, can't you? You can like pick where you want them to be. So like you can have like a culture wonder in a certain district.
The wonders have their own tiles, but like some wonders you have to put in certain squares. You have to like the requirements.
Oh, you're right. What am I thinking of then? When you can build certain things in certain districts.
I mean, you can improve the districts with other buildings to.
If I got confused with that, I thought the wonders went into a certain thing. It's been ages since I played it.
Yeah, wonders have their own tile, but there is some.
Okay.
But they can give off bonuses which improve your other district. So like.
That's it. Yeah. Sorry.
So the idea of like recognizing like, oh, this square would be really good for like a certain wonder, and then like, oh, if I'm putting the wonder there, then if I put like a theatre next to it, then the culture will get more like culture.
Yeah, because I remember talking. It's a couple of years ago now when I talked to you about Civ 6, wasn't it? Yeah, because
I don't think it was a couple of years. I think it's just coronavirus time.
I thought it was. No, because I thought we were in a pub and I was talking about it.
Yeah, that wasn't that this year.
No, that was last year. I think it was the year, but I think it might be the year before.
No, I don't think it's that long ago.
Is it not that long ago?
I think it's just warped time.
No, because I remember saying about the barbarians being absolute bastards.
Yeah, and then Varsity Dave, and I played it. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, in this one, because the barbarians are just kind of a bit of a joke in all the other ones. In this one, it's like, nope, no, you have to deal with
They
them.
will steal your tech and then make something of it, and it's like, fuck off.
Yeah, they made them more of a persistent thing, and they can come back as well.
Yeah, they're like black mold. They just grow on your walls and keep coming back.
Yeah, it's. I just think it's a really good version of the game, and I played it so much, and I lost a lot of sleep from being hooked on that game. And yeah, in a way, it was just like almost stands outside generations. But I was just like, it's just so good that I had to have it in.
Strangely enough, as an honourable mention, there is another game made by the same guys that entered mine, and I think you'll know what it is. Yeah, but